I'm going to go in and I'm going to, now it would be helpful if you pull down the student user guide, which is on the, I think on the main page at the very top when you first sign in. Now, what I'm trying to do here is design a vehicle, and I have my customer expectation ranges and how important it is for the buying criteria of the customer. So for economy class vehicle, it makes sense that fuel economy is an important factor and price is an important factor, while engine power isn't as important. So when you're, these are all the different, the weights of how important each of these characteristics are to someone's ultimate decision to buy the vehicle. So let me create the car. Now for the sales forecast, maybe it would be helpful to see the user guide on this. So I'm going to pop back over. Let's see. Where is, oh, right here. So student user guide, pull down this PDF. So I'll get that down now because we're probably going to refer to it back and forth. I'm going to go back into the student practice game. And you see how my data is missing? Unless I click the submit data button at the bottom, that data will be missing. So let me, I'm going to re-input my data. So, oops, having a negative 400% profit margin is a problem. Oh, that's better. Okay, so sales forecast. This is definitely one area I recommend looking at the user's manual. So we go down to sales forecasting, and it gives me, an idea of what's going on, the growth rates per vehicle, which is very important, and the average sales each company would be expected to sell if all companies were equal in their designs and spending on advertising and strategy. So think of this as sort of a baseline. So for economy class, we're moving into year zero already occurred, we're moving into year one, and this is what they expect most people to sell. Now, because my car, I'm just kind of slap these statistics in pretty quickly, I don't think it's going to sell more than the average or even the average, so I'm going to just put it below. Since my price is high, I'm not as competitive, so I'm just going to put in a lower forecast because I don't feel my car is really that competitive. And you can see you could go below, I went below the range, or you could go above the range on these customer expectation ranges. So you can beat your customer expectation or miss it. I think there's limitations though. So if I do something crazy, let's see, like I think it's more on the low end. So I put in 20, I'll get a warning saying that the car's not going to work, or it's not. So there's limits to how far you can stretch the ranges. Let's see. And let's sales forecast again. I'm going to go over here. 2,600 is what I could expect. I could expect to sell if my car was just average. My car is definitely below average, so maybe I'm going to just put that at 2,500 or 2,400. Okay, so truck. Put my truck together, and then let's see. I think my truck's pretty good, so maybe I'll put my truck in at 2,000. And then luxury. So in luxury, you see that, of course, luxury features are the biggest importance factor when buying this vehicle. And price is not that much of a factor. So I guess if you have money and you really like a car, you're not so much concerned on price. In fact, maybe you even want to pay a higher price because you want to show people how well you're doing, how rich you are. I don't know. But I'm going to build my luxury car here, and I'll put it at the highest price. And let's see, 1688. So I think my car is a little bit better than most, so I'm going to put it a little higher. Okay, so there are my forecasts and my sales data. Now, don't worry about filling out the reflective observations. We're not going to do that for the sake of this online class. That's, I think, more of a team exercise. So we're just going to worry about strictly putting the numbers in for our simulation. So I'm going to submit the sales data. So once the sales data has been submitted, all the numbers are locked in. If I didn't hit this blue button and I went to the marketing tab, all this information would disappear. So we don't necessarily want that. Okay, so in the marketing page, let's again go to the user guide, and I get the advertising marketing instructions, and it shows me again the percentage of effectiveness. So if I want to, you see here the television is the most effective of all the areas. So I definitely want to make television the biggest part of my marketing budget. And then for each car, there's a different mix of how effective the media is on turning advertisements into purchases. And I guess down here they give you a sample of how to break it out into cash. So that's sort of, and there's an industry report that gives us an advertising expectation range. So we know about how much the market is spending on advertising each round. And this gets reflective based on, so I guess somehow it's reactive to what we do in our competition will change every round. Also, what will change every round is these customer expectations change and develop, and so the prices change and develop. So every round we have to redesign our car and re-input new numbers here. After we analyze what the results are with our car and we think about what could we have done better, we have to also look how the market has changed. So in the advertising area for the economy class, the advertising expectations are between 500 to a million that have to split up between these different categories. So maybe I'll put 20,000. Maybe I'll put 40,000 here. Spend 100,000, and then I'll put 600,000 here because television is the most effective. That looks weird. Okay. And then just kind of now I see that the sedans have a little bit bigger budget, and I would have to kind of come up with a strategy for that. So for each of the categories, I'm just going to throw some money in here to get started. I'll make everything even, except for television. Since that's the most effective, I'm going to put in more money there. Okay, so I didn't exactly exceed the range on some of these. Some of these I'm in the range, but you have flexibility in how much you want to spend. But this is a guideline. Shouldn't be less than this, and shouldn't really be too much more than this, depending on what your strategy is. And this is the importance factor that shows you how important it is to selling the vehicle. So the truck is actually advertising is the most important for the truck. So maybe I should bump that up a little bit more. But what category? Oh, I know. I'll go back here and I'll see that for truck, television is very important, but also newspapers. So maybe I'll go in and increase my newspaper a bit, more than 250,000, and then maybe I'll increase my television budget since that's so important here too. Okay, so that's basically how you play the strategy. Now, again, we're not going to fill out the reflective observations. We're just going to do the numbers for our online class. Now, the demographic target, you can kind of put in around the average age you think you were trying to focusing your marketing on for each vehicle, and around an average income. This I think is more for just this game does have a role-playing aspect of it. So if you were to develop a demographic target and you come down here and you think about your advertising slogans, your overall advertising strategy, then that would certainly help. But for the practice game, we're not going to fill out the reflective observations. We can actually, I think it would be interesting to fill out the marketing stuff on the actual team competition, but for the practice games, we don't need to fill out any of this. We're just trying to learn the mechanics of the simulation. Okay, so I got my data filled in here, and I'm going to hit submit my marketing data, and then I'm going to go to production. So in production, I see here that I forecasted 2,000 cars to be sold. I currently have current production plants. I have one production plant with a capacity of 1,000 vehicles. So that's not enough. I can't make 2,000 cars with one plant with a capacity of 1,000 vehicles. So I'm going to have to buy one additional plant, and now my total capacity is 2,000, which is going to be closer to my goal. Actually, my goal here is 1900 because I do have 100 cars in stock. So I'm going to build 1900, and I want this to always be 0 down here because it shows that my production plan is going to match my forecast and inventory. And that's just good management. For my sedan, I start out with one production plan for each vehicle. So I only can make 1,000 cars, but I need to make 2,300. So I'm going to have to buy 2 additional plants. It's going to be a capacity of 3,000. So I'm going to have some excess capacity, but that's unavoidable in this situation. Here I need 1,900 cars, so I need to buy 1 additional plant. And once you buy a plant, you're going to see that next round, this capacity will move up by what plant you buy. So in the future rounds, you only have to buy the additional plants you need because once you buy it, you have it. So you never have to buy it again unless I want to make like 3,000 vehicles at some point. Then I would have to buy an additional plant. So they're kind of cumulative. Okay, so I just kind of match the number down here. And I have my production is now going to be effective because I increased my capacity. And then I have the operational investments. So each car company has to continuously improve. Continuous improvement's a big strategy for a lot of companies. And to do one area of continuous improvement is reinvestment in the company. So no car company would be successful today if they never reinvested in their manufacturing capabilities over the past 50 years. So this is a crucial element. And for each new technologies we invest in, or robotics, or equipment enhancements, or efficiency software, for every level it's going to cost us $2 million. Now, what do I get for that $2 million? Where am I? Oops, I don't want 10 levels. I can't afford that. Do it again. Okay, so I'm going to buy 1 level for each vehicle. And for every 1 level I purchase, I get a $300 cost reduction for my car. So not this round, but next round, the car, I'll see a little spot in the sales page, it'll show me my cost reduction. So maybe I'll actually get 2 levels here. Okay. And I'm going to submit my production data. And then I have my finance data. So I'm going to go right to the bottom, and it shows that I have a cash surplus of 10 million, which is good. So I'm going to actually just borrow some additional funds, just so, because this surplus here is really an estimate. If I don't sell every car I forecasted to sell, I may wind up with a deficit. And stockholders and owners hate deficits. So I'm just going to pad my surplus here by like 18 million, and this is by issuing additional funds. Once I become rich and start making more money, I'll retire these funds. But right now, I'm going to borrow some additional monies. And these interest rates will change, I guess, depending on what the rates are. I'm not sure how the system does it, but I notice they do change. So here I have, this is based on my sales forecast, so my sales are going up quite nicely, and my profits. I see that my assets don't match my assets here don't match my total liability and equity, and the difference is this surplus. So this cash surplus, if I were to take this cash, as it says down here in this note, and add it to my minimum cash balance here, then my assets and liabilities and equity would match. So it's sort of a planning tool. Okay, so once I have my financial data set and I hit submit, in the individual practice, it'll automatically go right to my results. And my results were pretty good here. I made 1,000 points, which is very high for, I didn't really plan this out too well, but it wound up working in my favor. And you can see that wherever I increased my revenues by 100%, I got 100 points. Because I borrowed money, my debt ratio my quick ratio is not as good because I borrowed a lot of short-term cash. My profit margins increased, and I earned points for that. My gross, operational, and net. And you should be familiar with these financial ratios from finance, MBA 502, or financial accounting. So these are gone. These financial ratios are gone over in probably 2 or 3 classes. So you should be familiar with them. You can always refer to the student user guide. I think they go over them as well, at least the formulas. So we're looking good here. My earnings per share went up. I earned 100 points for that. See, it went up 200%, but the maximum points you can earn is 100 in any category. Return on assets went up, my market capitalization, and my forecasts were much more accurate, from 65% accuracy to 99%, 100% accuracy. I earned points for that. I earned points for investing, making operational investments in the company, and running a surplus. But you see, my surplus was 14 million, and the pro forma financial statement said 18 million. So that could only mean that I must have had production. I must have had some leftover inventory. So yeah, so I didn't sell this inventory, and that resulted in a smaller deficit than I had planned because unsold vehicles. If I look at the charts, it'll show basically what my performance was. And this is an important chart down here, right under the first chart, the bottom. It shows my sales versus my actual sales were 2,400. My potential was 2,480. So I missed out on selling some vehicles here because of, I guess I underproduced and my demand was greater than I had expected. Okay, so that is an issue here. All right. Okay, let's go back to charts, and then you have the industry charts. So I can see how I did against the two computer players I'm playing against, and I did great in points and profitability against them. So I'm doing pretty well against the computer players. And the industry shows me this is exactly how I made my vehicles last round and my financial results, and I can check my competitors as well. Just like with any public company a year later, you can check all these statistics and results, and this will help you plan your strategy out for next year. My financials are backed up here, and then the whole process starts all over again, where I can now redo my sales. So the customer expectations have changed, and the price of the vehicles, the top end has changed, and now I have my cost reduction here. So when I build my car this year, I can make the price a little bit higher, and I have my $300 cost reduction. But because of the customer expectations, they're expecting more. These customers are unbelievable. They want a car with more features, more luxury features, more standard features, better fuel economy. How outrageous, right? Well, we're the consumer, so we know what that's like. We always want a little bit more, and that's going to cost us in the manufacturing process. So if we don't make these operational additional investments, we could wind up having a lower gross profit here. So then my sales again, I'm going to have to this is what I sold last year. That's why I had forecasted 2,000, so I got close. And if I look at the student user guide, it shows me that there is a growth rate of the economy vehicle. Maybe I'm not sure, maybe it's 25%. So I would kind of look at the chart again and see what the expectations are for the next year. And the more practice you get at forecasting, a little bit closer you'll get to, more accurate you'll become with it. So that's why the practice rounds are good, because it gives you a chance to practice these things that will make you more successful in the team competitive rounds. Now here, I only had a $300 cost reduction here, but because I bought I got two levels, so you see the two levels here under sedan of operational investments. In my sales page, I have a $600 cost reduction for that here. And what's great with these, once you buy this equipment, you have it. So I can always add on more to get an even better cost reduction next year. So the game kind of runs the same way. I fill up my sales, got to redo my marketing, my production, and then in the finance area, I just check over my finances, make sure I have a surplus, and hit submit. It's not going to look right until you kind of always follow this flow: sales, marketing, production, and finance. And that's how it is sort of in the real world. Sales will develop a product to be sold. Marketing will sell. We'll try and advertise and promote the products to be sold based on your forecasts. And then production will build the products, and then finance will make sure they can pay for everything. So that's the basics of how that works. Okay, so this is the quick overview of the Zoom simulation. Each week after you complete the team competition, I will run the round. It won't flip over automatically like the individual practice, and you could use the practice as much as you want. So if you want to do 5, 6, all the rounds and complete the simulation in the practice and restart it, go right ahead. I encourage it. But for the team competition, we're going to move forward on these dates. So the first round is due Friday, June 7th. Will be the first official team competition rounds. We're only doing 5 rounds in this class because it's a short summer class. And then at some point, I will set up the simulation to be processed on June 7th at 11:30, and then you can wake up the next morning and see the results and start on next week's team competition process. So, so I'm going to end it here, and I just want to remind people, when after you sign up, when you first log in, we have 2 areas where we're competing. We're going to be doing, well, 2 areas we're going to be working in. For the first week, I just want you to do 2 rounds of individual practice so I can get an idea that you're ready to compete. And then also by June 7th, I want you to complete the first round of the individual practice. And this will be, you'll know you're in the, I'm sorry, I messed up. I want you to complete the first round of the team competition. And that will be, let me just sign in again because I messed up there. For June 7th, I want you to click on the Play Classroom Competition. You'll have your team name here. You'll know you're in the competition because it won't say _practice. And it's pretty much the same process as the practice, except now instead of playing against computer players, we're playing against each other as a team of 1. Okay. However, I do open it up that if any students want to work together in teams of 2 or 3, you're certainly welcome to do that and organize yourself. If you have a friend you're taking the class with and you want to work together, I'm fine with that. But I also allow you to work individually if you want to do the team competition individually as well. So you decide on how you want to. But if you do form a team, please no more than 3 people per team. Just leave it up to you. You can either do the team competition as a solo team or as a team with additional people. That's up to you. Okay, so that's it for this video, and I will be talking to you soon. Take care. Have a nice Memorial Day weekend if you were watching this before class starts.